I think there's a lot of social media fatigue that I would talk about with my clients, that a lot of clients don't really feel confident to be a trendsetter as opposed to just a trend follower. And I know it's really hard as a small business to not just follow the trends, because that's the easy thing to do, because you assume, well, if it's worked well for other businesses, it'll work well for us. But it is about being authentic and trying to reach the people most that you need to connect with. You know, it's not about maybe getting 1 million views, but if you even got 100 views and 20 of those were potential clients, that could lead to more lead generation or conversions than, you know, reaching the multi-millions. So I think it's having that perspective on the metrics of it as well. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the ProfileTree 1 podcast. So today I'm joined by Laura and Pork. So Laura is project manager within ProfileTree and Pork is head of client success. So today we're going to be talking about the evolution of social media. So I think obviously nowadays social media is so ingrained within our social constructs, how we communicate with people, but also how we conduct business. So we had figured out in terms of the social media landscape that we're starting to come towards the end of what we call phase 2. So phase 1, or the precursor to social media, of course, would be the likes of Friendster and MySpace. Essentially the concept of the social network was born. So it set up the foundation for everything that followed. It's where we made connections with people, it's where we kept in touch, and it made a major shift into the social network that we now know today. Then with the social media boom around 2010 to 2019, so Facebook was king initially. There was the rise of influencers as well. We found on Instagram that influencers and aesthetic marketing started to dominate, and brands really thrived by being present, social and relatable. Engagement came very naturally. You would have put a post up and easily got 100, 200 likes on a business account, no problem. Nowadays, some people struggle to get 5, so that's a shift in engagement rates. Then we moved into the attention era, so 2019 around COVID to 2025. So short form video in the likes of TikTok and Instagram Reels, and then the AI integration really took place. So with the rise of TikTok, the likes of social media giants, so YouTube, LinkedIn and Facebook, all changed the way that their algorithms operate because they wanted to compete with TikTok's algorithm as it was so engaging for people. So now that we're coming towards the end of 2025, to stand out within the marketplace, people have to have cinematic, authentic and differentiated approaches. So we're looking at more videography, cinematography skills and storytelling to really stand out in the marketplace at the minute. So Laura, I suppose that from your project manager perspective, I know you would manage a lot of the staff members that work on social media with clients every day. From your team's perspective or anything that you've been hearing through the grapevine, what would you say is your team's biggest challenge in terms of social media as that landscape shifts from trend following to trying to storytell and be a brand shaper?
I think one of the biggest things that we sort of see clients initially panic about is, okay, I'm not a videographer. I'm not someone who likes to be in front of the camera. I'm not even overly technical in terms of how to use the apps and different editing tools. But what we kind of always remind them is that it doesn't need to be as complicated as some of the stuff that you might see online. I think what people have a tendency to do is maybe go to Google, see like, okay, what's trending right now in terms of social media content. Think small to start off with. You're not going to create a cinematic masterpiece. A 15-second video chatting a little bit about your business is totally fine. And what people are trying to do is maybe go too big. And apart from the fact that it might be kind of unattainable in terms of budget and time and resources and staff, it also doesn't align with your brand. Do you know what I mean? So if you're thinking like a small local hardware store in a town a few miles outside Belfast, like, it doesn't need to be this big production. It doesn't need to be sexy. It just needs to be honest. It needs to appeal to your target demographic, your audience, and it needs to be simple, but also something that's going to catch someone's eye. So yes, that might be something like using comedy. I think some of the best content out there are things that kind of follow viral trends. So obviously, you know, this year we've seen huge ones in terms of the Coldplay cheating couple, or the Ibiza final boss, or the EasyJet Jess Glynn song. You know, there's ways that you can incorporate things like them. Again, not everyone is necessarily creative, but go to Google, go to ChatGPT and say, look, I'm trying to think of funny video ideas for my business. You know, it might not be comedy. It might just be honesty and ways to connect with your audience. And that could be literally as simple as 10-second soundbite of you, the business owner, or you, the manager, or you, the team member, talking about the business and what you guys do well, or a call to action. And again, for people who are a little bit more camera shy, you don't necessarily have to get in front of the camera. It could be a voiceover over something like a walkthrough of your store or of your office building, something like that. So yeah, one of the best pieces of advice I can give people is anyone can do social media. Yes, not everyone is necessarily successful at it, but again, that might be a case of, well, what does success look like to you? Is it as simple as you just want some more engagement on your posts? Is it brand awareness? Is it that you want to directly get leads from your posts? It's all about putting a plan together. It doesn't need to be reams and reams. It just needs to be straightforward bullet points. Okay, this is what I want to achieve, and then trying to figure out what you might need. But definitely anyone with a camera phone, even an old iPhone 8 like me, can create content that is going to resonate with your audience, because one of the worst things you can do is try to go viral. Anyone that tries to go viral will not go viral. It really is one of those things that just happens freakishly, and you just never know when it's going to happen. And some things are just interesting. But I would say start small, put a bit of a plan together. Obviously, if you have a team behind you, like chat to them about some potential ideas. We all use social media every single day, so we're all exposed to it, and we're all going to find things that we enjoy or find funny or find interesting. So bring that knowledge into a business setting, because if it made you laugh or smile or cry outside of work, then it could do the same to your customers.
I think, as well as you say, it's never been easier to do the likes of video editing. So a lot of my clients, or the mentoring team's clients, would really struggle with confidence in terms of video editing. But say the likes of Canva, CapCut, editing in app within Instagram and TikTok, it's all really easy formatted. And again, there's people that, in their words, they are not technologically minded, and they're still able to edit the videos, which is lovely to see the confidence grow as well. So as you say, I think as you practice and get more confident, the creativity will grow as well. I suppose in terms of, looking at the human element of social media, Pork, again, in your professional or personal opinion, where do you think that the human element still matters the most? Is it with the likes of creativity? Is it with brands being transparent and authentic? Which do you think is most important, even just to appeal to, the general public?
I think even nowadays it's probably more important about being honest and being real, which does kind of benefit smaller businesses as well, like a lot better, or businesses without that big social media budget. Like, it's very different now than, say, 2012, 2013, where it was all about Instagram and really polished like pictures and videos and everything. People nowadays almost reject that. People will scroll or skip straight past like a high production video, whereas you'll see, like, even if people think about what you watch on a daily basis, it's somebody on TikTok, they're sitting in their bedroom. It's not like this big staged production or anything. It's somebody talking about just their general day-to-day lives or experience. I feel like a lot of businesses would be really hesitant, that's not going to look great, we're not going to put that up, but you don't kind of realize what people might actually find interesting until you put it out there. So a lot of it can be, and again, there's nothing wrong with it, is trial and error. You start off doing something like, a day in the life of somebody in the business, or, if you have a shop, like walking around it, showing some of your products. You never know what will kind of take off, what people will find really interesting. Something that, because you work in an industry or something that you think is really boring and mundane day to day, is something that somebody else might find really interesting. If you see people in an office, like a company, they'll go around and ask people their coffee orders, and like that'll get like 1 million views, and it's a really mundane thing that you would think, but like people find that interesting. You'll see a lot of, TikTok videos of, somebody who has like a power washing business, or like, unclogging drains, and like people will just watch that. It's almost like soothing and satisfying to watch. But if that was you kind of initially creating that video or putting up, you're like, this is kind of a stupid idea to show me, power hose in a roof or power hose in a wall. But people like that, and they will watch it. So it's kind of hard to know what will take off until you do it. So again, it would be, don't worry about budgets. Don't worry too much about, spending too much time in it. People have a lot of other things to do. Like most marketing managers, business owners have a million other jobs to be doing. It's better to have something out there than nothing. And then you would be surprised with what kind of can take off. And again, it's something that you kind of constantly refine. You put something out, like you might put out a video, it might get no views. Next week, you kind of learn from that and you go from there. You might stumble onto something that kind of gets a bit of a following and kind of build there and build on that trend.
I was just going to say, I think what you said, Park, about, what can seem quite mundane in terms of content can be quite interesting to someone. And I think it is that, and to hark back to what you said about rejecting this idea of polished, perfect, beautiful production, that is definitely the case nowadays, and that's becoming more and more relevant in that people are kind of searching for this like human connection. And like I was reading an article before that talked about how the kind of social element of social media is slowly, maybe quickly changing at this point. When I think back to when I first had social media accounts when I was a teenager, they were these really social things. And it was like this, if you think about Bebo, for example, it was you and your group of friends from school that spent all day together at school and then went home and messaged each other, sent each other funny things online at night. And that's very much gone. So I think it's almost like a renaissance within social media content where it's now, yeah, someone sitting at the end of their bed talking about what a terrible day they had. And people are actually really kind and supportive. And it's like, why not take those same ideas and apply it to your business and try to show people that you are not just this faceless institution, you're a business that has real life people behind it that would prefer not to, have like an angry phone call at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good point.
I think a lot of my clients that have maybe become discouraged, if we're looking back to say Facebook 10 years ago that would have got hundreds upon thousands of likes potentially or views to now maybe struggling to get 3 or 4 likes, and that's quite a realistic metric nowadays with my clients. I think there's a lot of social media fatigue that I would talk about with my clients that they want something that's going to break up their timeline as opposed to a repetition of what's come before. A lot of clients don't really feel confident to be a trendsetter as opposed to just a trend follower. And I know it's really hard as a small business to not just follow the trends because that's the easy thing to do because you assume, well, if it's worked well for other businesses, it'll work well for us. But it is about being authentic and trying to reach the people most that you need to connect with. It's not about maybe getting 1 million views, but if you even got 100 views and 20 of those were potential clients, that could lead to more lead generation or conversions than, reaching the multi-millions. So I think it's having that perspective on the metrics of it as well. I don't know, personally, do you find in terms of social media fatigue, like, is there anything that maybe companies are doing at the minute that you thought, maybe that they should lean towards a different type of content, that it isn't working or resonating with content? Or do you find that there's anything even personally at the minute that you think we should maybe start to move away from as marketing experts?
I think one thing that really bothers me, and I'm sure it bothers everyone, is the LinkedIn posts where people try to make really, really tenuous connections between major life events and business. There's less so in terms of video content. It's literally more in terms of basic text posts. But I think it's like there's a time and a place to talk about your personal life and how that might have an impact on you as a business owner or an innovator or an employee. But I just think it can be really tacky. I would strongly discourage people from, it's like, I just got divorced. Here's what this taught me about B2B sales. And it's so painful. So that's like a real pet peeve for me at the moment and always.
I think that goes back to the being authentic. Like, you can just see how fake that is, and it's just somebody has thought this up just for the purpose of this. It's like, again, like the trying to go viral thing. Something like that will probably go viral, but for all the wrong reasons.
And within my sessions of LinkedIn clients, I will not mention which Big Four company it is, but it's one of the Big Four. And one of their employees had a wedding. So he was getting married to this woman. And the post was essentially trying to communicate, like, how dedicated we are to our clients, that, 24/7 help. But essentially this is Brian. This is a photo of Brian at his wedding reception on his wedding day, that there was a big client deadline at midnight and he was sitting when all of his family and friends were having a good time on the dance floor working on this client account. So they put it up and it went viral, as you say, for all of the wrong reasons. It was a complete PR nightmare because they were trying to communicate, or, like, we're really helpful. We put our clients first. I don't know if I was marrying Brian, there would have been a very quick annulment at that point, if that's what he was doing on his wedding night. So I think it is, as you say, balancing between transparency, not coming across as fake, but sometimes, as bad as it sounds, just think before you post as well. Think about how people can perceive this outside of your industry in particular. Some people in the industry might connect with it, but you have to think of the perception of your future clients as well. And I know that did do a lot of brand reputation to that company.
Like, there is a human side to it as well, that, that's great, you work 24/7 and everything, but somewhere along the line, like, do you want to work with a company that does that? Like, I feel like we work for a company that, we would be punished for working, like, on a day off or like at your wedding. And I would hope that like most places would like actively discourage it. But if I was a business owner or, a potential client of that company, I don't know if I'd want to work with a company that is that how you, treat or value your employees, that, somebody who works for you, that you want them to work on their wedding day, is that the company that I want to associate myself with?
Not to play devil's advocate, but I mean, things like this could also be blatant PR stunts where they may well have known that there could be, negative feedback from that, but negative feedback's always going to get more clicks, more views, more people reading through about it. I mean, if you think about the CEO and founder of Brewdog, he was constantly in the headlines because he was talking about like no one should want to have weekends off or something. Like he was purposely being controversial because at the end of the day, that's what gets people like aware of your business more. And yeah, of course, it can always backfire, but people are definitely at times aware of what they're doing. It's really interesting.
It's true. It's interesting perspective. I had gathered just some 5 quick tips for businesses leading into 2026 just to finish off with. So kind of to sum up in terms of leading forward into the new year, where do you go in terms of brand storytelling, communicating your vision and so on? So I would say the first one, developing a distinct brand narrative. So make sure that you're communicating to your clients who you are, why you exist and why it matters. Don't always just focus on the sales pitch or the sales aspect, which I myself am in a sales department essentially, so it's hard to do sometimes, as I'm aware. But you need to communicate with your audience and connect with them on a different level, and then that might lead to a softer sale. Secondly, invest in visual craftsmanship. So as we've said, you don't need to be a professional videographer, but simple things like good lighting, even invest in a couple of equipments. There could be lighting stands, there could be a £10 investment on Amazon or something that you can hold your phone up with just to make sure that it's not like myself, a shaky hand. Thirdly, leveraging AI intelligently. So as we are an AI driven agency, we always empower our clients, particularly small businesses. The AI is just a wonderful time saver. So where you can, use ChatGPT, as Laura said, to get content ideas, to write the captions for you, enhance your creativity. Maybe don't use it as a sounding board or brainstorming function as opposed to just taking it as gospel. Fourthly, I would say create for depth and not just reach. So again, shifting from the focus of, oh, I just want to go viral, which is a lot of my clients would say that, but build on the long-term audience loyalty and post consistently within that. And then finally, humanize the brand experience. So again, TikTok and market leaders have definitely taken this to a new level this year, but focus on connecting with your people, not the logo. So you can showcase real people, genuine interactions, and authentic experiences. So that would be 5 quick tips that I would give to businesses moving forward in their strategy. So yes, thank you all for listening, and hopefully we will see you soon. Thanks.